Hey there, Matt here, and thanks for joining me on another video today. I've got a special guest this time. I've got Joseph Price from Soxy Guitars with me today.
Hey Matt.
How are you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So you're looking quite at home with my Martin guitar there.
I'm just figuring out how many vodka and tonics I have to give you so that I can just walk out of it and you won't notice, but that's probably not going to work. Yeah.
Probably not. It's one of the guitars, actually, a lot of people like that one.
Yeah, I have a bit of a soft spot for smaller acoustic guitars, tonally speaking. Yeah,
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
So that one, I bought that about 2 years ago, actually, in Japan, in Tokyo.
Right.
And Tokyo's got some of the best guitar shopping in the world.
Yeah, I haven't been, but this is what I hear.
This one really struck me, actually, and I loved small-bodied Martins. I'm actually a big fan of Wilco, and I've seen Jeff Tweedy playing many of those.
That's quite a recent development. Up until maybe 10 years ago, unless you were dealing with the ornate models with all the abalone sort of purfling and the flower inlay and some of these models, I think generally like the 00 or the D45 that they're referred to, Parlour guitars were just not that popular. And actually the Parlour guitar design, specifically with the tight waist and the smaller upper bout, you can see that there, this is called the upper bout, this is the waist, and this is the lower bout. They were designed to be more comfortable for women to play, essentially to allow your breast to fit. And I think some of that machismo carried over, which is a man plays a big guitar and other people do not, but they record exceptionally well.
They do, and one of the things actually I've noticed when I have recorded with that is actually that you don't need to EQ them very hard because you don't get that big boomy bass on them and stuff that maybe if you're playing just acoustic music, it's nice to kind of get that bass, but when you're trying to fit it in a mix with a band, they sit in a really nice kind of level in there, and they really sit in a mix really nicely.
Well, to put that into a sort of studio perspective, if you mic a dreadnought-sized guitar, you'll be able to see that the low E is usually 15 decibels louder on its attack than the high E. That's a lot louder, and it makes the engineer's job harder because they're going to have to use reductive cutting EQ techniques. The more EQ you apply to a signal, the more you get what's called artifacts. And so if what you're seeking is pure acoustic tone, it's always better to get a guitar that is closer to where you want it to be before you even touch it with processing.
So cost-wise, I mean, without kind of giving that was a little bit under 4,000 Australian dollars. I don't know what that would be in American dollars if anyone's
Currently,
listening.
it's about 3,200.
Right, so it's not a cheap guitar. No. That's a 72.
Yep.
The 60s, I think, kind of start to get up into the stratosphere price-wise.
We can talk about that if you like.
Yeah, please.
Well, fundamentally what happened is that Brazilian rosewood, which was the rosewood of choice for Martin and Gibson and actually most manufacturers, got listed on what was called the CITES Treaty, which is essentially an organization that sort of was formed to say this is an endangered species, so you need to carry paperwork to show the provenance of where it was cut and that it was legal. The net result for Martin was they immediately switched all of their base models over to Indian rosewood, which is what this is. And Indian rosewood trees predominantly grow in India, shading coffee plantations. It's an indigenous tree there, it's Dalbergia latifolia, and it grows really quickly. So the cost of Brazilian just became prohibitive. The other feature that you find is that this model still has a square tube metal truss rod reinforcement. So it's not adjustable in terms of manually, but this has an added bonus to the sound, which is that because you can't adjust it, it's a solid stiffening agent. A lot of people think that a truss rod adds stiffness to your neck. It actually takes stiffness away from your neck. What it does add is the facility for you or your technician to adjust the relief setting of the neck. This is very convenient. But I wouldn't say that 60s models are inherently better than 70s models. And I think you can get a really good bargain if you buy a 70s Martin that needs a little bit of work or is cosmetically not perfect.
Because I think looking on eBay at some of the 60s models in US dollars, they're kind of getting up around $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for this model guitar. So that's at just under 4,000 Aussie. That was actually a pretty
I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, it's one of those guitars that I will never get rid of. It's just it's such a unique instrument. One of the things I really like about it is the spacing. It's got almost like a nylon string or classical string.
Yeah.
The spread of the string. So if you finger pick, it's actually really nice to be able to get that definition in there. It's not very tight in the strings. And the other thing I like is the little kind of 12 fret scale of it. It's a really lovely little guitar for sitting at home and playing on your couch in your parlour.
Well, the funny thing about a 12 fret guitar is it has the effect of making the actual exposed length of the neck shorter. So it brings it slightly closer to you. If you have small little hands like me, that's quite convenient. If you've sort of started your playing career playing nylon string, it feels very natural. But it also has a tonal, I wouldn't say benefit, that's pushing the point a little, but what it does is it moves the bridge back commensurately, because the scale length is the edge of the nut to the 12th fret twice, plus compensation for the intonation. So your bridge is now sitting closer to the widest part of the lower bout. And the lower bout up to about the top of the waist is the sound producing portion of a steel string acoustic guitar. So what you could definitely say is it has a little bit more, for any given design, low end oomph. So your 14th fret version of this guitar might be a sweet sounding guitar, but it might lack a little bit of the low end of its 12th fret version. And from my point of view, strictly as a player, not as a luthier, I try and encourage people, unless you are sure that you're going to be diddling around up at the treble notes and, you know, playing a lot of up here, there's no good reason not to have a 12 fret guitar.
Anyway, thanks for talking about that, and thanks for joining in on this video. We're going to run through some more guitars. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, we'll be running through more in the collection, and hopefully see you again soon.